Responsible for some of the greatest military achievements in history, the Roman Navy was one of the most powerful and well-organized fleets of antiquity, playing a crucial role in the territorial expansion and defense of the Roman Empire. The precise origins of the Roman fleet are uncertain, but probably date back to the 4th century BC, when Rome was still a city-state on the Italian peninsula. And in this video, we're going to see more about its history and the importance of this navy to Rome. By the 4th century BC, the Romans hardly ventured out to sea, preferring to invest their time and resources in agriculture and land operations. When necessary, they were involved in smaller-scale coastal operations and supported maritime trade, ensuring the safety of vessels and preventing pirates who could pose a threat to supply routes. However, the Roman Navy still lacked the significant structure and capability to engage in large-scale naval conflicts. Its operations were limited and did not extend far beyond coastal waters. But that all changed with the start of the Punic Wars in the 3rd century BC, when the Roman Navy underwent a significant transformation. Faced with the challenge posed by the powerful Carthaginian navy, the Romans recognized the strategic importance of controlling the seas and embarked on a shipbuilding and sailor training program. After conquering most of the Italian peninsula, the Romans turned their attention to Sicily, where Carthage held sway. Carthage, which was a powerful North African city-state, had an experienced naval fleet and was considered the master of the Western Mediterranean at the time. While the Romans primarily relied on their land legions to conquer territory, they soon realized that they needed a fleet to effectively fight Carthage in Sicily. In 261 BC, the Roman Senate made the strategic decision to build its own fleet. They started building 100 quinqueremes, which were ships with 5 rows of oars on each side, and 20 triremes, ships with 3 rows of oars on each side, all of which were built in a period of just 2 months. To design their ships, the Romans seized a sunken Carthaginian quinquereme and used it as a model. Although the Romans did not have much naval experience, they were determined to challenge Carthage's maritime supremacy. One of the main naval strategies employed at that time was ramming, a simple but effective tactic. The oarsmen propelled the ship at high speed towards the enemy, aiming to hit the fragile hull below the waterline with the tip of a ram. The objective was to sink the enemy ship, but the Romans faced a great challenge, as they were fighting an opponent with much more experience in this type of naval warfare, and so they realized they needed to find an edge if they wanted to outrun their rivals, and so the Romans developed a revolutionary innovation, the crow. The raven was a kind of movable bridge with a sharp point that could be lowered over enemy ships during combat. This allowed Roman soldiers to break through and overrun enemy vessels, turning naval battle into a fight more familiar on land, where Roman legionnaires were experts. This raven approach tactic gave the Romans a decisive advantage, allowing them to face the Carthaginians on equal terms. But as effective as the crow was, it also had some drawbacks. The added weight on the bow of Roman ships made them less stable in rough seas, increasing the risk of capsizing. Therefore, in the year 36 BC, in the naval battle of Noloco, General Marco Vipsanio Agrippa adapted a new device for his fleets called harpax or harpago, which was a catapult harpoon. Unlike the crow, which weighed approximately a ton, the harpax had the advantage of being much lighter. This allowed it to be launched over long distances by a ballista. Furthermore, the harpax's claw was made of iron bands that were practically unbreakable, and the strings also could not be cut due to the length of the iron claw. These characteristics made the harpax an efficient and formidable weapon in the naval battles of the time. Even so, we cannot rule out the importance of the crow during the early stages of the war against Carthage, which proved to be an extremely efficient weapon. In this way, the Romans were able to achieve significant victories, the first being the Battle of Melas, where the use of the raven resulted in an unexpected victory over the Carthaginian fleet. The Romans' final victory over Carthage in the First Punic War marked a turning point in Roman naval history. From that moment on, Rome became a respectable naval power, expanding its fleet and further developing its naval skills. It is not for nothing that during the Second Punic War, when Hannibal invaded Italy, he was forced to do so by land, since what was left of the Carthaginian navy did not dare to challenge the naval power of Rome. After consolidating its hold on the Western Mediterranean, Rome turned its attention to the east. As early as the beginning of the 2nd century BC, war broke out against the Seleucid Empire, and Lucius Scipio led his army on a land campaign, with the navy playing a supporting role. Victory against the Seleucid Empire made Rome the undisputed ruler of the entire Mediterranean. the Roman imperial navy. But even with so many naval victories, land forces still occupied the most important position for Rome, and this led to a significant reduction in the Roman naval fleet. This disarmament process meant that the Roman navy was unable to protect trade routes and port cities against threats from pirates. In 67 BC, the pirates threatened to stop the shipment of grain in Rome, necessary to support the population in the city, in addition to invading the port of Ostia. It was then that the Senate decided to send Pompey the Great to solve this problem. In a period of 3 months, Pompey managed to gather resources and assemble a large fleet, systematically attacking the coastal strongholds of the pirates. But after a few years, there came a time when external threats ended, and the conflict of powers within itself, Rome, made the Roman navy fight itself. This happened during the civil wars between Julius Caesar and Pompey, and later between Octavian and Mark Antony, culminating in the Battle of Actium, which was one of the most important naval battles in history. After Augustus became the first Roman emperor, the entire Roman navy became subordinate to the army of the Roman Empire and played a role in logistical support to the imperial legions. Their fleets were responsible for transporting troops, patrolling rivers and coasts, and providing support for the legions. Augustus also implemented some other significant changes to his fleets. Most of the navy was divided into 2 Praetorian fleets, called the Classis Missinensis, which was based at Mycenae, and the Classis Ravennas, which was based at Ravenna. These fleets served as a central naval reserve, ready to be mobilized under the emperor's direct command. Although there were no imminent naval threats, her main responsibilities included patrolling and transport. These roles were not just limited to waters close to Italy, but extended throughout the Mediterranean, demonstrating the reach and presence of the Roman navy in the region. In addition, several smaller fleets were formed in different provinces, often created temporarily for specific campaigns. This organizational structure of the Roman navy created by Augustus remained practically intact until the 4th century AD. Each trireme ship had 170 oarsmen, 85 on each side of the ship, and 10 deck officers. The quinquereme ship had about 300 people on board, including 280 rowers and 20 crew and deck officers. These vessels could carry an additional complement of 40 elite troops who served as landing troops should the need arise. In imminent battle situations, this number could reach up to 120 soldiers. The presence of a large number of oarsmen on a ship reflected the importance of human power in propelling the ship through the water. Each oarsman played a key role, working in unison to row the massive rows of oars that ran along the sides of the ship. This allowed the ship to reach impressive speeds and maneuver with agility during naval engagements. Leadership of Roman naval fleets was delegated to prefects appointed by the emperor, whose main task was to command a variety of vessels. Ship captains held high positions in the hierarchy and were usually designated as centurions or triarchs. Crews on Roman military ships played dual roles, acting as sailors and soldiers. In addition to their maritime responsibilities, they were trained to fight on land with light weapons when necessary. Crews were mainly made up of local recruits, often from among the humblest segments of society, such as the working class. However, they could also include recruits from allied states, prisoners of war, and even slaves. In addition, the Roman navy was also supported by maritime experts from regions such as Greece, who contributed their expertise in navigation and naval tactics. Cooperation with maritime allies was key to strengthening Roman naval capabilities and expanding its dominance across the Mediterranean. The strategic location of the ports provided a secure base for the Roman fleets. These ports were designed with artificial structures to facilitate the movement and supply of ships. The Romans developed a variety of port structures to meet the needs of their fleets. Among them were the internal ports that offered safe shelter for vessels, protecting them from winds and storms. These inner harbors were often connected to artificial canals and lagoons, providing a network of waterways within the port complex. In addition to the internal ports, the Romans built docks to facilitate the mooring of vessels. These structures were built with concrete pillars, straight or stone, allowing safe access for ships and simplifying loading and unloading operations. A notable example of a well-fortified Roman port is the port at Ostia, which served as Rome's main port. Ostia was located at the mouth of the Tiber River and was developed as an important port city, hosting a wide range of port facilities. This infrastructure allowed for the efficient movement of goods, troops, and supplies between Rome and other parts of the empire. Another example is Port Julius, located in the Campania region, which was designed as a strategic naval base during the Civil Wars. This port had a complex layout, with interconnected inner harbors and a series of canals, allowing for the rapid mobilization and maintenance of the Roman fleet. The construction and maintenance of these ports required advanced engineering and knowledge of hydraulics. The Romans used techniques such as building breakwaters, draining flooded areas, and controlling tides to ensure the operational efficiency of ports. Over the centuries, the Roman Navy faced a gradual decline. Several factors contributed to its demise. Initially, with the collapse of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD, the Roman Navy lost control of several coastal regions to barbarian invaders. The Vandals, for example, conquered North Africa and established their own maritime kingdom. Furthermore, the rise of Italian maritime republics in the late Middle Ages further diminished the influence and power of the Roman Navy. These republics developed their own fleets and established profitable trade routes, leaving the imperial navy at a disadvantage. The final downfall came in 1453, when Constantinople was conquered by the Ottoman Turks, who not only destroyed the last vestiges of the Roman Empire, but also ended any significant Roman naval presence. But despite its decline, the importance of the Roman Navy in history cannot be underestimated, having played a crucial role in establishing and maintaining Roman imperial power, ensuring the expansion of the empire through control of the seas. If you enjoyed learning more about the history of this powerful ancient navy, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel.